in Hysopt, with a sensitivity analysis, we can do an analysis on the effects of changing any one or more parameters and observing the effects that will have on our system. In order to do this, we first need to turn on the sensitivity view. So before I do that, for example, on my buffer tank, none of these buttons I can choose to do a sensitivity analysis on them. When I toggle this on, you can see that now there are certain parameters on which I can do a sensitivity. Sensitivities can't be done on all parameters, but most parameters that you would need to do a sensitivity on, it can be done. Let's, for example, do a sensitivity on the effect of changing the capacity of our heat pump. So in this case, we've got an emitter of 500 kilowatts, and I'm going to do a sensitivity on the design heat flow of the buffer tank. So here, instead of doing it on the design power of the heat pump, I'm going to do it on the buffer tank so that this value gets propagated back, and then the pipes and the pumps are also designed to the correct value. If I was to just do the sensitivity on the design power of the heat pump, this would not then have an effect on the pump or on the pipes. Let's, as a default, have a value of 500 to match the 500, and then we'll decrease and we'll see how low we can go. So I'm going to now go into sensitivity input. And I can see that I have this parameter that I can do a sensitivity on. So I'm going to do a 400 kilowatt variant, a 300 kilowatt variant, 200, and 100. Okay, so those are the names of the variants. I'm going to now input the actual amounts I want for each variant. And just so that we see the results quickly together, I'm going to do 1 week instead of 1 year. What the software is going to do, you can of course choose the location and the time at which you want to do the sensitivity. What Hysopt will do is create 5 models, all of them the exact same except for that parameter that you have changed. So he goes through all 5 calculation steps, and we will be able to then see the results of that simulation. Now that those simulations are ready, I can open the Pareto, which is the comparison tool in Hysopt, and we're going to compare those 5 models. Of course, we can put in our gas prices, our electricity prices, our CO2 emission factors, choose our currency. If we want to do a financial analysis, we can also put the costs in here. And if we open the energy analysis, we can see that the installed capacity for each model, so we've got the 500 kilowatt, 400, 300, 200, 100. We can see that for the 500 kilowatt, the building load space heating, so that's the amount of heating that's being delivered to out of our emitter. Okay, so 53,000 kilowatt hours. Our 400 kilowatt heat pump is able to do the exact same. Okay, so here I would say, okay, 400 is actually enough. We can see then here a slight reduction at 300. We have reduced by, what's that? Not that much, but there is a reduction. Then we can see with 200 kilowatts, a significant reduction, and a 100 kilowatt, significant reduction again. So here we could conclude definitely that these two are too small. And what I might do here is to do a second sensitivity between 400 and 300 to see where I start reducing, and that would be a good indication as to the minimal size my heat pump can be in order to meet the building needs of my building.